Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show with Charles Tyndall and myself. We got Mike Cermak on our Wednesday Madness Show. We're going to be talking about net neutrality. That's right, in the first hour, what you can do. And also in hour two, computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. So sit back, relax. We'll be starting the show shortly.
So yeah, I told you net neutrality was going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I know.
Ooh, I need to check this one out.
2 minutes until showtime.
This is the story I want. All right, new stories are coming at you.
Okay.
And soup. Trying to eat healthier. Coordinated day of action. Companies like Reddit, Mozilla, and DuckDuckGo.
Did you send me the stories you said or not?
I just sent them.
Yeah, okay.
Gmail always supported the encryption transit using TSL automatically encrypted your incoming out.
1 minute until showtime.
There it is. Okay.
Sucks my Chrome has been acting up.
Well, you're using your MacBook here right now, right? So.
Yeah. No, my Chromebook. I didn't say my Chromebook. Chrome has been acting up.
Oh, Chrome's back.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, certified ethical hacker, Charles Tyndall.
Hey, Charles, and can you get a little closer to the mic? Because you sound like you're in a tunnel. Well, welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show. And we got, in the second hour, we're going to have computer technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. And in the first hour, we're going to, it's our first Wednesday of the month. We like to call that Wednesday Madness. It's open mic night. We talk about anything having to do with computers and technology. And we will have Mike Cermak, the owner-operator of TechGuide.org, with us. He called in, and he is just running a little bit late. He was on the road heading home, and so hopefully we will have him here shortly. He'll just join us. In the meantime, if you have a comment or question and you want to call in, the easiest way is pick up the phone and dial us. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive add-on chat room from our homepage at computeramerica.com. You'll see there's a chat room /video button. It's also under the first pull-down menu. Just select that, put in a username. That's what it's going to ask for. Click the sign-in button, and your Java-enabled browser on a Windows machine, Mac, Linux, they all work. Will move you into the Computer America chat room. And also sharing that same page, is our Live Computer America video streaming. And that's brought to you by Other World Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988. Now celebrating its 25th anniversary. If you have any Mac need whatsoever, please visit them at www.macsales.com for some really great bargains. Any order over $49, you get free shipping. They throw that in. They've got their own YouTube channel. They have wonderful support for all the products. You're adding a solid-state drive. They have videos to show you how to do it. Really a great website. Please visit them again at www.macsales.com and tell them we sent you. Okay. So we're still waiting for Mike Cermak to appear on the program, and hopefully he'll be with us.
So sad.
Why? What's sad?
Some reason or another, Google Chrome is not working on my MacBook anymore, and it's driving me nuts. I've uninstalled it, and I've reinstalled it, and I've uninstalled it again, and I've reinstalled it again, and this will now make the 4th time, and it's just not working, and I don't know what's going on.
Google, mean the browser yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you just recently update it?
Chrome?
Yeah. What's the version of it?
I just deleted it. It's the one. It's a fresh download from the website, so it should be the latest one.
Yeah. Well, if you're downloading it from the website, absolutely. But you've been having some strange problems in the past week or so. I don't know what you're being targeted. The technology gods are not smiling on you these past years.
I think it's because I've openly and
What?
Oh, I was thinking it might be they've got some posts up here for Java and everything else, but it's because I've been openly and very verbal against the demise of net neutrality and people deciding they want to just destroy things.
You think you're being targeted by somebody?
No, somebody out there. I have openly admitted to being a high-tech terrorist. So.
Yeah. Now, explain to me, are you using the microphone that's built into your earbud there as your mic for tonight?
No, I'm using my normal mic.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's just over here, not in front of me.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to type and read at the same time.
Oh, okay. All right. I just heard from our good friends over at Blue Microphone. They have just introduced another new microphone that they're going to be sending to me for me to test out and see if it's any good. It now uses it's a new digital mic, and it evidently uses it will if all works well, it will replace the Shure device that I have and I'm using, and and it has so I can hook my headsets as a Y adapter. It looks like it has most everything that I need to do what it is that I need to do, and I guess I'll just have to wait and see. It has phantom power, has all the things that this unit has. And I'm hoping that it will work, and they're going to send it to me sometime next week. Yeah. Matter of fact, I think I have the link to it. I can actually send you to look at it. It actually looks really cool. About $150 microphone. It's got a really large capsule on it. It looks like all the products that Blue Mic really that they make are outstanding, and so I can't wait to give this a try, and hopefully it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Okay. Well, in lieu of Mike getting here, what do you want to do a couple of news stories, or do you want to talk a little bit about what happened yesterday with Bob Levitas, or do you?
Well, we went over everything with WWDC. That was nice.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking forward to some of the some of the features that are coming out with the new OS X. I mean, the continuity and everything else, and I'm like, wow, this is great. But there's certain little things that I'm curious to find out about with Apple. Is on Android, we were going to talk about at some point in here, we're going to talk about resetthenet.org, and it reminds me, we need to get a hold of the ProXPN folks, because they should be all over the Reset the Net thing, because that's one of the purposes of ProXPN, is to make you anonymous on the interwebs so that people can't harass you and find you, and people can't snoop on you and do all those other wonderful things. So we should probably reach out to them and be like, hey guys, if you're not in on this, you should be.
Yeah.
You know, if you're, it's one of those things where, you know, they recommend some applications, you know, that allow you to do secure communications, and one of them is like Chat Secure for your iDevice, but that's where it stops pretty much on the iDevice. You know, on the Android, you can switch to an alternate browser, you can enable privacy settings, you can use, you know, Text Secure, you can use Red Phone to even make encrypted phone calls. There's so many other options that you can have using an Android device. And,
like TPTP and all that stuff, yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, you know, and it's. And I know it's one of those, you know, 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other type things. You know, Apple is a closed system, so there's more security to it. But the encryption mechanisms and everything else, that's all still proprietary to Apple. And we did a story not too long ago specifically about how Apple, given the right push, will, you know, wholeheartly hand over your encryption key to insert Fed here.
Oh, yeah, and of course with something like ProXPN, that isn't going to happen.
Well, that actually ProXPN can't protect against that. I mean, they can protect you from getting you know stuck with how you say getting stuck with things online and like your ISP getting a bunch of information on you and all the other stuff. Well, that's an internet connectivity.
Anonymous. You're anonymous. They don't know where you're coming from. You don't know. They don't know who you are.
Right, but what I'm saying is Apple openly admitted that given the right motivation, they would openly give away your encryption keys for your iDevice and give data off of your device, email, contacts, calendar, and so on. You know, which is why on my iDevice I don't use the built-in, you know, Apple stuff. They can't get a hold of my stuff because, well, I'm hoping because it's in a different application. Like they can't get to app data, you know. But it's just kind of scary to see, you know, where this is all going. And you know what? I'll walk you through it, but we've definitely got to put up that you know, reset the net splash page, or at least a banner or something to show our support on Computer America, because
sure,
you got people out there that just needs to stop.
And we'll do that. And by the way, go to our website at computeramerica.com, and you can see all the special things that we're doing with ProXPN and how you can get it, like for 20% off any membership. I mean, it's free, but you know you want to get the one of the memberships because you can do so much more and it's faster and just better. The code is COMPAM, which will get that additional 20% off membership for life. So check it out at computeramerica.com. We'll talk more about it in the second hour. But I see now here with us is our guest for the evening, and I got to say now, if it's Mike Cermak. He's the owner-operator of TechGuide.org, which is a website dedicated to helping others with their computer problems and answering their questions. If you're looking for free technical support, TechGuide.org is the right place for you to be. It's been around since 1996. And his site is run completely by volunteers and paid for completely by donations and sponsors. And he is one of our Computer America correspondents who appears here on every first Wednesday madness of the month. So, Mike, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Okay, so you finally made it.
Well, I think my internet provider was limiting my access to Computer America.
I'm telling you, see, I knew you were going to come on the show. They're like, he's going on that show with that guy who's openly saying we are screwing people. We have to stop this.
Yep, that's what happened. I'm sure of it. There's no other possible explanation.
Yeah, you need to go on the. On our Google Plus community, find me out there, Mike, and join high-tech terrorism. Join the club.
I don't know if I want to sign up for any sort of terrorism.
I'm just saying.
I think I'm gonna get into enough trouble as it is.
Okay, all right. We'll make you an honorary member.
So I'm gonna try and take a wild and crazy guess as to which side of the argument that Charles sits on here, as far as net neutrality.
Wild and crazy guess. Okay.
Well, I mean, before you came in, I am talking about that.
What?
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you were going. I think I missed something there. I said I was going to take a wild and crazy guess and just assume that you're in complete opposition to net neutrality.
No, he's for it.
No, what? Wow. I'm shocked.
I'm completely against net neutrality.
I figured you would be.
I'm on the complete side of all the companies out there who feel that all of us should pay more to get our information across. That's how we're going to do it right here.
All right. So have we introduced net neutrality does everyone know what that is? Do we know what we're talking about? I know I'm late to the party here.
Well, I was out on, was it Monday,
Yes.
which is when Ben took over and had a conversation about net neutrality, and we were trying to drive the point home, and Craig was Ben was trying to drive it home, and I tuned in because I was sitting at my desk and I was like, I have no background noise, let's turn on the show, and I'm listening to the show, and Ben is trying to drill it in, and Craig was just like, So I'm like, okay, there needs to be two sides of this conversation. So I called in and was like, this is what's up. But no, I mean it's a big deal. So Mike, go for it, man. We need all the commentary on that as we can get.
Well, and it's interesting because I see both sides of the argument. I'm not entirely for net neutrality, so that might add some interest to it. I think Charles just about choked on his food there when he heard that.
In this corner.
Well, and so there's a lot of problems.
I think we need to repeat the disclaimer. The opinions and views that you hear on the Computer America show are those of the co-host, host, and their guests, not of Blog Talk Radio Network, the IRN Radio Network, who am I forgetting? The Boost Radio Network, or the Global American Broadcasting Network, or AM/FM everywhere.
24/7. Yeah, we have all the networks. Yes, exactly.
That said, continue on.
Yeah, well, and so I don't know what was already said, but the idea of net neutrality, the big concern, the thing that nobody wants to see happen, well, maybe not nobody, but people who don't own Comcast don't want to see what happen is the big fear would be things like if they were to limit your access to other news sites, like there is go into CNN or something, to limit you going to their website so that you would instead go to Comcast news website, just for example.
Well, close.
That's one example.
Right. It's more like this. You've got CNN and you've got Reddit, right? Or you've got CNN and you've got a clearly anti-government.
Did you see the example that was in the Supreme Court decision? They said they were comparing Google to Bing. They said if Google were to pay for a prioritized access to an ISP versus Bing, and I was giving that example to my wife earlier, and she said, "What is Bing?"
Exactly.
I was like, okay, that's a terrible example, actually.
That's exactly how it worked. But in a sense, the cable providers would be they'd be like lobbyists. Let me grease this wheel better, and the one with the deeper pockets and the more ability to pay. They're the ones that are going to get guaranteed bandwidth. They're going to get direct access to consumers, direct access to the mass media. They're going to be able to push whatever information they want, and the people behind that are going to push the information that is not negative to them. They're going to push only information they want us to know. They're going to push only information that they think is relevant to us. The other guys, the guys who run things like high-tech terrorism or techguy.org, for example, you're run by volunteers. If all of a sudden you got a letter in the mail that said, well, we're your hosting provider, we want to opt into the Comcast, Cox, Time Warner, Verizon, pay to play thing. We're going to raise your hosting rate by $300.
Right.
Would you buy into that?
Right. Well, and that's exactly you're exactly right. That is what would happen, is that you would have high-speed access to those sites who are paying for the prioritized access to whoever the ISPs are. Yep. And so that would be a bad thing. Now, to some degree, there has to be some sort of scaling of, some sort of packet prioritization happening. We have voice over IP gets higher priority than video, than surfing porn, than whatever. There's some sort of packet prioritization that needs to happen in there, I think, and I think we want that to happen even on the ISP level, though.
No, right now, I don't want my ISP. I do not want my ISP. I don't want them controlling, throttling, QoSing anything that I'm doing. My internet connection belongs to me. I am paying you to get a pipeline to the information superhighway. If my experience sucks because I'm on insert porn site here, insert Computer America live stream here, and I'm sucking down bandwidth and I don't have my own prioritization going, then that's fine. But most home users aren't doing extremely bandwidth-intensive things. Netflix, even right before all this happened and Comcast got stupid, Netflix had come up with a way to compress HD video streams, and they came up with a way to compress it to the point where it didn't really matter because it wasn't going to conflict with what else was going on in your network. It wasn't like, oh, look, I'm watching Netflix, I can't do jack else. You know, it's I can watch it on my mobile device. It's optimized for mobile. It's optimized for tablet. It's optimized for your computer. They had already gotten settled in comfortably with sharing that bandwidth within your home. Comcast realized, oh crap, people, and it's a weird, twisty example here, but people are no longer watching what we have to offer. They're no longer watching the movies, the media, the stuff that our advertisers are paying us to put in front of these people. They're not watching it. They're DVRing stuff and then ignoring us, ignoring everything else. They're skipping over commercials. They don't want to see this stuff, and they're watching that. And their advertisers are losing their mind and are saying, look, I'm not going to pay you to do this, so I'm going to take my money and go elsewhere. I'm going to go to Netflix or somebody, right? Comcast is saying you can't do that. We're going to stay here. You're in a contract. You're threatening to do this. We'll fix it. So for a time there, they were trying to get in bed with Netflix to get Netflix to help them do something else. Netflix told them no. Then they tried to come up with their own streaming service. Didn't work. You know. Then they decided, you know what? We own the pipeline. Let's screw the consumer and make Netflix pay us so we can get that revenue back. You know,
right.
At least from the outside looking in. And I have friends who have actually worked at Comcast, right? Who were on the inside of all of that, and they were specifically told to tell people if a customer called in to complain about their internet, they were to ask, is it on Netflix or is it on anything like that? Or if the customer brought that up, they were to avoid the question and blame it on Netflix by itself, right? Another fun twist. At one point, we had both cable and internet in my home, right? Okay, we both had cable television and internet. I am a cable cutter. I don't watch what's on the television. The only reason it was even on was for The Walking Dead. The only reason.
I feel the same way. I was about to say the same thing, Charles.
You know? And then I realized that using Google Play, you can buy the season, and then you're just like wait a few hours or a day behind, and then finally you get the same thing. But you know, when I disabled my cable, when I shut it down, all of a sudden my internet began to collapse at random. I would fire up a Netflix, it would pixelate, it would lose it, and I'd be like, what? And I'd say screw it, and I'd switch to my 4G smartphone and be like, I'm still watching Netflix. Screw you, Comcast. You know, it might have been a fluke occurrence, but you know that is the type of thing that is going to continue to happen here.
Now, so should we? I'm generally, not always, but in general, opposed to additional regulations, and I'm usually in favor of open market type solutions. So, you know, is it the place of the government to jump in and tell Comcast and the ISPs what they should and shouldn't be able to do on their network?
Say that one more time.
Should the government be going in there and telling Comcast and companies, and I don't want to pick on Comcast specifically because I'm a customer of theirs and I don't want them to know that I hate them, but
Mike, we seem to have lost you. Mike?
but companies like that, should the government be able to go in there and tell them what they can or can't do on their own privately owned network?
No. I mean, the government shouldn't be allowed to walk into my home and tell me what I can do on my network, period.
But what about if you own Comcast?
Now, the government should be allowed to come in there and say, actually, no, they're still a privately owned corporation. But there was the revamp of SOPA and PIPA, the Information Protection and whatever it was Act. Right? There was a revamp of it that basically required ISPs to keep information a certain amount of time and force them to share breach information around. You know, if something looks like this or traffic looks like this or this did like this, we should be able to tap you and grab all that information. ISPs fought it because infrastructure sucks. You know, now they have to invest in storage servers. They have to invest in logging. They have to, and I know you're a tech guy. Have you been in an enterprise of over 1,000 computers and had a Splunk server or a LogSys server sitting there, and
yes.
all of this, and just watch over a 24-hour period how a million of these little tiny 1, 2, and 5 kilobyte files all of a sudden eats up 4 terabytes worth of storage space.
Yes.
You know? They don't want to do that. You know, I am okay with the government stepping in and saying you guys have to take a more accurate approach or a more participative. Is that a word?
It is now.
Yeah, it is now. You have to participate more actively in tracking down the evildoers of the interwebs, right? You have to do that. You know,
okay.
I am not for them saying now you have to monitor everyone. You have to come in.
Well, how are you going to track down the evildoers if you're not monitoring everyone?
Keep a system up that monitors for malicious traffic. But you're right. There isn't really a way for them to say, we want you to help us find the bad guys, but I don't want you dipping into people. It's kind of like the Patriot Act. We want you to monitor Americans for homegrown terrorism, but there's really no way to not monitor everyone.
Right.
You know, it's not a selective monitor.
Well, you know, and as far as open market solutions would go, as far as the net neutrality thing, I think I would be happier with a solution where, if they want to do silly things like that and block traffic and whatever, then that's all right. But in a perfect world, then you would be able to just switch to some other ISP who doesn't do that if you want to. And that would
how
just
many ISPs do you have in your area?
I mentioned in a perfect world because that is the problem. And I think that is another problem altogether, is that we have this monopoly of, in a given geographic area, there is usually one, maybe two if you're very lucky, real broadband internet providers in your area.
And this is totally.
And I've been involved in some of those negotiations, and I still, with some of the municipalities, I was just involved in a local municipality because we do their computers and stuff, and they were working their deal with Comcast, saying, all right, we're going to pay you these tens of thousands of dollars for the next 10 years to have the monopoly of cable internet, and cable and internet here within your boundary, and we'll also give you this many free internet drops to your different buildings and so on, and it just seems like that shouldn't happen. They're like signing an agreement with the government saying we are going to be a monopoly now.
Yeah, well,
no one else can sell cable internet here.
And actually, no. What it is they're not saying no one else can sell it. The bottom line is everyone who would sell it, guess what? They have to lease those lines and that bandwidth from Comcast, Cox, Verizon,
and I kind of get the idea that in a given small town here, you wouldn't want 10 different providers running their own lines through the town. We've got enough lines up there as it is now. But I don't know. I just like competition. And it's a shame wireless or something else hasn't come to be reliable enough and fast enough to really be an actual competition for a real high-speed internet connection.
I'm sure there's a block somewhere where they're saying specifically, look, you can't get beyond this speed. It's not that you don't have the infrastructure right now, but you can't get beyond this speed because now you're going to rival us, and we don't like that. So, but I look at it like this: it's a funny thing. Everybody complains about Comcast customer service, right? They're like, they suck. They really don't care. And then I asked them, I was like, are you in an area where you have more than one? And they usually say no, and I know Craig, he's got both. You got Comcast and you've got Cox, right? Because one is in North.
No, I've got Charter.
Charter.
Yes.
Because geographically they're separated by the appropriate number of miles for them to not encroach on each other's territory. They're like, I won't sell in your yard, you don't sell in mine, kind of a gentleman's agreement, right? But then it's consumer says, you know what, my internet sucks, and they're like, yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Exactly.
You have two options: suck it up and pay what we want you to pay, or move.
Yeah.
Which you're going to move to one of our competitors, and then we're going to tell them you're screwy anyway. So.
Yeah, but we are seeing some. More and more areas having more than one internet service provider. I know,
very rarely though.
Well, in West Palm Beach, we have the Comcast cable, and we also have AT&T UVerse, which is. And UVerse, and UVerse actually just came to the Carolinas where I am too. They just put it in. So UVerse is at least giving some people some, and they're coming in with like fiber. They're coming with some high-speed internet.
But see, that's the thing. The way they're getting around the cable providers is they're running their own fiber.
Yes, they're running their own fiber.
They've got their own infrastructure, and they're like, you know what? We wanted to come in. We wanted to play nice with you guys. You guys are a bunch of D-bags. Go away.
Well, and they can afford to run that fiber as of right now only into those really populated areas. Like, I'm not going to see fiber out where I am anytime soon. I'm stuck with being under a monopoly.
Yep.
All right, but we are seeing more and more areas giving a choice. You are getting a choice, and of course, look. Let's face it. If you really need a choice, you can always go like DirecTV, which is a satellite.
Dial-up.
No, it's not dial-up. It's high. It's a higher speed. It's not the highest, but certainly.
It's DSL. It is a digital subscriber line, which is now the equivalent of dial-up.
Well, and really the only other choice right now, as Charles mentioned earlier, is 4G. Maybe if we can get some wireless technology to be, faster than that, then maybe we'd have some competition for these broadband companies.
Yeah.
Now, Ford is saying the maximum you can get on UVerse is 6 megabits per second. I don't understand that, because I know in our area you can get 8, you can get 18, you can get 24. We just typed in 24, and I think you can get up to like I think the fastest they offer is like 36 or 54, I believe it is. So I'm not sure why you can only get 6 megabits per second on UVerse.
On their website, it says for $14.95 a month, you can get up to 6 megabits per second,
Right.
or for $19.95 a month, you can get up to 18 megabits per second.
Yeah, 18 megabits per second. And
I like the up to, by the way. I know those watching the
it's
video
always up to.
you might hear. Well, and so that's the other question, Charles, as far as this net neutrality thing goes, is that of course we're all promised these crazy amounts. Like I have Comcast and I have up to 50 megabit or whatever it is, and maybe it's higher than that now, but you rarely actually see that. But so if everyone was using all the bandwidth at one time, you couldn't actually do that. So they have to be doing something. So if my neighbor is using a whole lot of bandwidth, I'm going to feel it.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's nothing they can do with that one. I mean, would you want them to then throttle down your neighbor? Or what if you're inadvertently using too much bandwidth? What if us doing this broadcast right now is using too much bandwidth and you're hurting your neighbor next door?
But DSL,
that's an infrastructure.
Yeah, but see, that DSL doesn't. You're not subject to that. The big thing about cable that DSL could poke a stick at is that because you were sharing it. So if people start sucking down bandwidth in your area, you were gonna feel it. DSL said, look, it's a one-on-one thing. We're gonna give you 6 megabits per second. You're gonna get 6 megabits per second no matter how many people are sucking it down in your area. You have a one-on-one line, and which was part of the technology. Now, some of that has changed with cable because cable is getting tired of that line, and so now what's happening is that that you're getting more bandwidth available regardless of how many people in your area are sucking it down. At least that's what's happening at this point. Oh boy, time. We're at the bottom of the hour. Okay, you listen to the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and on the IRN Radio Network. Charles Tindall and I are talking to Mike Cermak, owner-operator of TechGuy.org. We're talking about net neutrality. We'll continue on with that topic. We'll be right back right after this.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. Their mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Hi, this is Marty Winston for Computer America with a News Tips Bulletin review of a new Bethesda Softworks game, Wolfenstein: The New Order. Now, from tech perspective, we first saw Wolfenstein games many years ago on a TRS-80. Many things are improved. This is the first game that takes full advantage of our 2560 by 1600 graphics. The game can go even higher than we can. The presentation is amazing. Now, this is a first-person shooter game. Gameplay is based on a hero soldier in 1960 out to undo a World War II Nazi victory with some amazing, intelligent, kill-anything kind of weapons. There's lots of guns, lots of shooting, lots of getting shot at, plus a familiar game economy of armor, and ammo, and health. This is not a game for people who are unable to separate in-game mindless violence for fun from reality. Bottom line, Wolfenstein: The New Order is a howling romp of a combat-based shooter game. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin review for Computer America.
Every time that sound comes up, I feel like somebody's dialing into my head. Anyway, welcome back to the Computer America Show, and thank you for that one, Marty. We are talking to Mike Cermak on our open mic night. Do you realize that it was like, I don't know how many shows we all did together before I realized that Craig actually spelled it M-I-K-E. It was open mic night.
That Craig guy.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to fire him and take over his show one day.
Why are you, now you have a fizzle sound when you talk. It's like you have a bad connection, Charles.
Fizzle sound?
Yeah, when you talk.
I don't know
It's probably the network, QoS, quality of service, that's just messing them up.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's exactly what's going on.
I'm telling you.
It's like that guy again. And the NSA got into my computer, and that's why it's all
dial-up. Yeah, it does sound pretty terrible, though.
Yeah,
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a bad connection with your mic or something. It's just
that is what it sounds like, just static on. Yeah.
Well, the mic is USB, so I don't know how that would be.
That's weird.
Yeah.
No.
Don't know.
So,
is there a buzz?
There is a buzz, but only when you speak.
It's only when you speak, and it's like a little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. No. It wasn't there before, but now it's there. What did you do between the commercial time? Did you?
I looked at my phone.
You must have done something because something changed.
I spent the whole time looking at my phone, and I have come to the conscious decision that I'm going to probably format and reinstall this Mac.
Well, there's your problem.
I'm running a Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm starting to feel that way. Like my Linux, I have a good feeling that I'm going to be dual booting this bad boy with Ubuntu here fairly quickly.
There you go.
Mm. So what do we say? Going back to the question of bandwidth and doing some kind of quality of service. And quality of service, for those who don't know, means that you prioritize certain types of applications over others. So you do this very commonly on big networks. For whenever we set up a network for a school or a large company,
Mike, I'm gonna stop you. I'm watching your video.
Okay.
Are you bashing my Mac while you've got Windows 7 behind you?
First of all, that is Windows 7. This computer I'm in front of, though, is Windows Vista, if that makes you feel any better.
Oh, dear God!
Yeah.
I can't bash a Mac and run Vista.
The primary computer here is Windows Vista, that's right. And I'm kind of old school, you know.
Living on the edge, man.
Yeah, well, and my computer at work is Windows 8, so I just like to be able to have a good, and I think this one might be Windows XP still, I'm not sure. But in fact, I'm relatively sure it is. But in any case, bashing on your Mac. But so QoS quality service. So you prioritize some applications. For example, if you have people on the network who are using it for voice phone calls, you obviously want to give that a high priority because if they don't get good latency or a good quality connection, then their audio sounds like Charles' audio. And same thing. Then you want to have high priority for video calls. You want to have so things that are latency dependent. You have higher priority than just downloading an update, for example. So that's done very commonly in almost any large network at the private network side, as Charles will point out, not on the ISP side, but you get a pipe coming in and then you get to do with it as you like. But then to some degree, there's got to be something going on after that, and because there's not an unlimited amount of data. Even in the case of DSL, as Craig was pointing out, you have the direct connection from your location to wherever the closest central office is of the phone company, but then you're sharing a pipe, which by and large is larger than is necessary for the number of users on at that particular time, but not always. So at some point, that traffic has to be combined, whether it's locally in your neighborhood by the cable provider or at the central office by your phone provider. And at that point, they have to be doing something to decide who's going to get that amount of bandwidth. And I don't know exactly how that should be done. I don't know. That's the question I'm posing.
How about we just give everybody a ridiculous amount of bandwidth?
And who's going to pay for that infrastructure?
Google.
Well, now that might actually be a solution.
Exactly. See, Google's coming in and laying fiber in these towns, and their speeds are something that the average user will never tap because Google realizes, bandwidth is cheap.
Yeah.
The infrastructure to get you guys 100 gigs is like next to nothing. And Google's.
Well, it's all relative as far as next to nothing. The infrastructure, the cost to run a fiber out to rural Pennsylvania where I live is not next to nothing.
Well,
but
in Google's bucket, Google's going to be like 10 billion. Here, hey, Google. What is it? Who's the CEO of Google right now, or the founder of Google?
Oh, the Russian guy.
Yeah, I forget his name. It's like
the founder of Google. It's Sergey Brin and
yeah. Somebody says to Sergey, "Yo, man, we want to run fiber across the United States. It's going to cost $100 billion." She's like, "Well, I can write you a check, or I've got cash here."
Let me look under the couch.
Right, or would you like me to use a card so I can get the flyer miles?
Yeah.
On my private jet.
Right? They're like, yeah, I'm gonna donate fiber to the planet. I mean, this is also the company that's positioned to start making internet pushing drones so that we can get internet to weird places. And they're not really drones. They're low Earth orbiting satellites. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, and so, I think that at some point wherever that throttling happens, wherever all the connections come together, I think what you're proposing, Charles, for a current solution, outside of the scope of Google coming in and saving us all, which is also scary for a whole different reason, but as if they don't control enough already, might as well let Google just run all of the internet.
They heard that.
I'm sure that they did. Larry Page is knocking at my door now. But what was I about to say? So I guess your proposal would be just to evenly distribute that. So if you have 1,000 users going into whatever size pipe, each of those get 1/1000th of that pipe, or however many are actually active users at that time.
Right. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, that's the way. If you've got a building that's got one pipe coming into it, and that pipe gets split up amongst the different demarcs in the building, that's exactly what's happening. We're sharing that outside bandwidth, even though I pay for 100 gig or 100 megs, and my neighbor pays for 16. It's the software throttling that's happening, not the physical connection to the building. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, it could be somewhere else in that pipeline, but the way it seems to me is the throttling happens at the software level.
Charles, I want a suggestion. I'm hearing the way it's echoing. Why don't you just log out of the Hangouts? You can do that and then come back in and see if that corrects the problem, because you really are breaking up kind of bad.
You sound kind of like a robot.
Yeah.
We are the Borg. All right, well, I'll try it.
Try that and see if that helps it. Okay. All right. So, but you can pick it up exactly from where he left.
Yeah, sure. Well, and so he's quite right about that. And the other side of it is that if you have too many people on one connection, the possible upside to having the ISPs be able to do some sort of quality of service is that if we're using it for a voice call as we are now, then they can prioritize that traffic over someone just downloading an update. And I think that's a good thing, but the concern that Charles and almost everyone has, including myself, is the misuse of that, of doing things like Charles was saying earlier, where they downgrade the Netflix connection only so that to cause Netflix to pay for a higher priority connection. And that's not something I think anyone wants to see unless you're on the receiving end of that check.
Well, yeah. Well, are you going to? I mean, if you're a Netflix user, is that going to impact me? Is Netflix going to turn around and charge me more because of that?
Someone's going to pay for it. You can bet that they're not just going to soak that up.
Well, why not? I mean, they get enough. you know,
yeah, but Netflix is all of what, $8 a month or something now? I'm sure. So even if they charge you $9 instead, you know, who's going to care?
Well, that's true.
But when it comes to other sites, then if they start doing the same thing for tech support sites, for example, if you know a big Microsoft tech support site pays for a higher speed connection and says, hey, you know, just throttle down that tech guy site, then that would be a problem for me. Or the same thing for radio programs, or for, you know, people going to Computer America versus a competitor. And so you do want it to be equal to some extent. And so I think that in the long run, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, and I'll say this while Charles isn't here to hear me. But you know, when it really comes down to it, I think that we do want equal access for everyone. But it just always concerns me a little bit whenever we allow the government to come in and take control over anything that's kind of private. I much prefer open market solutions when we can have them. But the fact of the matter is, due to the infrastructure issue, the fact that someone owns the local infrastructure, you know, it's kind of, you know, you can't really do that. You can't really have 10 different ISPs, at least right now. Maybe when wireless gets better you can, but right now it kind of makes sense to have some sort of common carrier type limitation on them.
Really, you don't think offering choice? I mean, you can pick from carrier 1 or carrier 2.
That would be the best of all worlds, but the fact of the matter, even if you're in a major metropolitan area right now, you might have 2, maybe even 3 choices. But that's still not many to really have an open market type effect, where if, you know, 2 or 3 of them start offering only, you know, services that go through this type of non-net neutrality connection, then, you know.
And the limitation really is a physical one. I mean, it's not because it's like they can't go up and open up another store. It's lines that are being laid down. They are owned by a particular company, and that company is not going to share that with another company.
And the cost to run those lines is large. I mean, to run fiber is meaning literally digging a trench along, you know, the roadway, or hanging them. Usually, it's in a trench for fiber line, or hanging them on poles. And the cost to do that, you know, you can imagine how many miles of roads there are in the U.S. I don't know that, but it's a lot. and the cost of having workmen out there, you know, over months and I mean it's expensive.
I hear what you're saying, but why can't they come up with a wireless solution so that you don't have to cut that cost and just, you know, come up with a super wireless Wi-Fi satellite, something that, you know.
Well, and they've tried, and even in my little small town, Pennsylvania, there is a wireless ISP here that uses an 802.11 type transmitter. You put a receiver on your building, and you can get high-speed internet that way. You know, wireless isn't as great as what we'd like it to be. It certainly isn't as good as a you know, broadband connection through a cable connection.
Not yet,
but reliable. It's not as fast. You know, the trouble with the wireless connection here is that it's, you know, peaks out around 5 megabits, which is not all that fast these days. And if it's a thunderstorm or snowstorm, especially snowstorm, you have almost nothing, or sometimes nothing at all. And, you know, it's you know, line of sight. There's just so many problems with it. But I think what we are going to see is, I think that as 4G develops, as 5G goes on, as, you know, we get better and better cellular connections, I think then, you know, people will be looking at that. And in the reality of it, Greg, more and more people are not even having, you know, computers at home. I talk to more and more people every day who have a cell phone or have an iPad and connect to it not through broadband at home, but just through cellular, and they're perfectly happy with that. They don't need broadband at home. What do they need that for? And, you know, they can do everything they need through cellular. The only thing cellular has, I mean, the only thing broadband at home has going for it is that it's unlimited, and it's very rare to find an unlimited wireless plan for as far as data goes, especially for a tablet.
Yeah, you're right. Although you hear all these, they're unlimited data plans, you know, but they seem to be specials, and then they disappear.
Yeah, and there's usually some sort of limitation to them, or they're throttled. You know, in some cases, that's the case with a lot of the unlimited backup plans. I won't mention any names, but a lot of the companies that do online backups, and I am a huge supporter of online backups, by the way. Make a backup today.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, you know, have unlimited amount of space, or a huge amount of space you can use, but as you use so much upload within a period of time, then they really throttle you back, because it's a finite resource. They have to do that. I mean, they have to. And the same thing, that's just what we're talking about here. And there's something else I was just going to mention about.
Why can't they come up? But why can't? Well, you think of it. Why can't they come up with another technology that, you know, solves all these problems? You know, they come up with a satellite link up, something that has, you know, gigabit speeds and it's not subject to, you know.
Well, the infrastructure we have right now, it's really efficient to offer broadband through DSL and through cable TV because the infrastructure was laid, decades ago.
Yes.
Every house, not every house, 90% of homes in America, have easy access to a phone line and or to a cable TV coax.
Right.
And so to give you broadband internet over the existing infrastructure is still expensive because they still have to build all the back end of it, but that last mile is already there. There's already a wire coming to your house that they just have to put something different into.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. If they're going to do some new technology like fiber, it's expensive to run that fiber out that last mile to your house. And that's where a lot of it comes in. And the other thing I was going to mention is that as far as cellular networks go, most of the time you're going to be paying for the amount of data you're using. There aren't really that many unlimited ones that you could use for a laptop or for a tablet. Not that there won't be in the future. I think that is going to be the way that we're going to be able to have competitors to broadband connections. But there really aren't any real competitors for that right now. But in a lot of other countries, at least for a very long time, the broadband internet connections were capped there as well. You would buy an internet connection that would have 2,000 megabytes of transfer available to you during a particular month, and maybe that's part of the solution as well. It's not unlimited is the problem. It's not an unlimited resource. It's getting closer to it as we run fiber and as Google takes over the world. But the fact of the matter remains, you have to do something with all the people who want to use it at the same time.
Now I see Charles Tundell is back.
No, I'm just pretending.
Yeah. Okay.
You sound much better, Charles.
You sound much better.
Yeah. And I'm glad you missed the part where I said I agreed with most of what you were saying.
Oh, that's horrible. I feel robbed. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously trying to play devil's advocate a little bit here, but there's some concerns with it, and and again, I'm a free market kind of guy. I don't like having more regulations than are necessary, but anyhow, I think we do need to do something here in the meantime until we can have enough competitors that people can just choose to go with someone who serves the internet properly.
All I want to point out is your free market is one thing, but when the government appoints what is the head of the Federal Communications Commission,
yeah. Oh, that was cute.
Is the former CEO of Time Warner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go F yourself. This is not neutral ground. Not at all.
True.
Wait, you're going to make a buttload of money. If we regulate this, yes, Mr. President, I guarantee you, this is all for the best.
I want the dingo to watch my baby.
Now,
here, Mr. Dingo.
Come on now. In his defense, he knows that industry. You don't want someone coming in there, off the streets that doesn't know anything about the industry. Obviously, you want to have someone who's been in that industry, and if they've been in that industry, they have to have worked for someone.
John Oliver is probably one of my favorite things to watch now, and my wife actually put me onto him. It's highly entertaining when he did the dingo reference, but then in the one before it, he interviewed the former head of the NSA, and he was like, "Well, how does this work?" It was like, "Well, they're not allowed to abuse this power." He goes, "But they're going to." He's like, "No. When they come in, they're given this information, they're given a briefing." And he's like, and he goes, "Well, see, like I sit here and I tell you, this is what you're not authorized to do. This is what you can't do. This is what I'm not. This is what we're monitoring, and so on and so forth. You can't use to do this, and you can't use it to spy on your girlfriend. Oh, that bee! I can't believe she was doing that to me. I'm sorry. What were you saying during your orientation? People will abuse power put in front of them, and power like the power that the NSA has to be able to snoop and dip. They're going to abuse it. You put this man and his cronies in charge of regulating the internet. Shows like Computer America and shows and podcasts that are anti-establishment, that are opinionated, that force real-world information out there, and don't care who they upset, you're going to slowly but surely see them disappear.
You have a table lamp that you could put behind your computer so it will illuminate your face, or turn off the ceiling light.
I think he's trying to remain anonymous.
I really get into the limit here. I switched to a whole different computer to get back in here.
Now, Now, Charles, I think the correct response is, Craig, there's something wrong with your video as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? That's Craig. Craig, yours is kind of dull.
I think you need a table lamp or something there, Craig.
Yeah, something going on there. Something's got to get there. You know?
Okay, you turn off the ceiling light.
You know, if I turn off the ceiling light, you aren't going to see anything. You're going to see my teeth. That's all that's going to be there. You know? But actually, do you know what the solution was? You like this connection, right?
Yes, this connection's great. Yeah.
This is my Linux laptop.
All right. Well,
there's your solution.
This is my original workhorse laptop.
And is that one on dial-up?
It should be. I'm running this thing on 4G. Yeah.
Well,
but you probably could. To going back to the point earlier, I think that's going to be the way we're going to be able to have competition among broadband. I think you missed that earlier. Is having 4G and whatever comes beyond it, and be able to have. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, but even now, if you're in a metropolitan area with 4G, what is the top speed on 4G? I don't even know that offhand, and don't want to hazard a guess.
I've gotten some pretty good speeds, but the problem is now everything has become so dependent on that 4G and that LTE connection that when you slide out of that area, all of a sudden you're like, dear God, it doesn't work any longer.
Now I'm suddenly on 28.8.
Yeah, do you remember Edge when it first came out?
Oh yeah.
Right. Everybody's like, this is blazing fast. You switch to Edge or 3G or you slide down. You're like, what is this crap?
Yeah, so PC Magazine analyzed 30 cities and found that AT&T had the top 4G LTE network coverage with an average download speed of 16.7 megabits per second. And an average upload speed exceeding 7.4 megabits per second. Now,
and this is on your
mobile. I will point out that's on your mobile phone, but that's within these 30 cities. But that will continue to grow, is my point. And that is going to be so much cheaper to upgrade or put in a new tower than to run fiber to my house, because then they're going to be able to sell you the services on the phone as well as that. And if they can then get to the point where they can have to bring a product to market where it can compete with the broadband providers, then why would I need Comcast anymore? Because most people are going to be like Charles and aren't really going to be watching TV on coax anymore. They're going to be watching it online on demand.
Goodbye.
So, yeah, I mean, seriously, I think that is going to be what happens. That's where it's really going to come, at least out here in the boonies. I think we're going to get it that way. Maybe in the city you'll have some fiber and some options that way, but that's what I'm expecting.
What I honestly think that just needs to happen is Comcast just needs to let it go. I mean, cell phone providers they've bypassed them and they've begun to push out mass amounts of data. And I know the NSA loves that because they're like, look, we can just pluck your information straight out of the cloud here, But like somebody asked me many years ago, do you have internet with you? Long gone are the days where I had to come in, sit down, dial up, connect, and care, And honestly, I kind of miss those days where I wasn't so ever connected, where it was like, I don't have a smartphone, I don't have a cell phone. If you need to get a hold of me, call me, leave me a voicemail, I'll get back to you if I feel like it. But the Comcast and all these other providers are holding on to this monopoly because it's a multi-billion-dollar business.
Sure. Well, and it's certainly their right to do that, I think. They own. I mean, the thing I don't like is the monopoly part of it. I think that free enterprise and all that. If you build a multi-billion-dollar business, more power to you. But
that's something else. Thank you for reminding me. That earlier we were talking about these small regional internet service providers that were coming out and doing things. There was an internet service provider out here, out southeast of here, where they knew that Comcast was not going to invest the infrastructure money to run copper out to these small rural towns, and literally they're like little house on the prairie. They're like 10 miles apart between each other, right? So they came up with an idea. They set up a high-gain directional cell tower, basically.
Yep.
Hooked Comcast up to it, and it's basically a big Wi-Fi antenna, and just mad pumped this hardcore high-speed internet into the area. And they had set up their own stuff. They were leasing lines from Comcast, and when Comcast realized what it was that they were doing, they throttled them down to the point where the people were like, my internet speeds are sucking. What's going on? Connections are this, that, and the other. And at the exact same time, all of a sudden, Comcast is showing up and saying, you get 10 of your friends to pay this bill, and we'll run cable to you.
Uh-huh.
It's dirty. It's underhanded. What we do need, I know you're against regulation. What we do need is somebody to come in and be like, look, you're being stupid. This is not free market. You've got a monopoly. I'm going to break you up like I did with Microsoft years ago, and I'm going to send you on your way. You know,
and like they did with the telephone companies. And with the telephone companies, they have regulations called common carrier, where, you know, there's the same problem as there as far as bandwidth goes, that there's only so many phone lines coming, you know, down to my side of the city. And so if everyone in the city wanted to make a phone call at the same time, which has happened in the past, you know, if there's a big disaster, everyone's calling 911 or trying to talk to relatives, and you have heard a busy signal. That happens when 9/11 happened. There were times where you couldn't call into New York or out of it or to D.C. And so that happens. And with the common carrier laws that apply to telecommunications, but only phone lines, not broadband, they have to serve all of those equally. You can't have Charles pay $10 a month more for a priority line that will get out when it's too busy for mine to go out.
Right.
And you know, I think that's a good thing, but yeah, the argument is should that be the same for the broadband?
It should. I mean, it should flat out be the exact same. It should be, you know, hey, you don't get to do this. You know, you don't get to, oh, I like Tommy over here. Tommy added an extra couple $100,000 to my pocket. I'm gonna let Tommy be a priority. I don't like Stacy over here. Go away, Stacy. You know, that's it should exactly be that. But it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm not a fan of big government. I'm really not. I'm really not a fan of more regulation. What I am like, it's like I got a random stupid telemarketer survey call on my mobile the other day, and I was like, look, I don't have time for this. And then he started asking questions. Like, fine, okay, I'll answer your questions. And he was like, do you agree that there should be term limits? I'm like, yes. He's like, how long do you think those should be? 90 days. You know, I feel like you should get in there, get the job done. You screw it up, goodbye. You know, I think it should be like a job. I think we should go back to the way it was originally. You know, George Washington became president, but he would get up in the morning, milk his cows, kiss his wife, tend to his farm, go do the political thing, and then come back and make dinner.
Not entirely in that order.
Yeah, not entirely in that order, but, you know, pretty close.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Mike, we're pretty much out of time. You know, again, thanks so much for being with us here. I know you were a little late, but
I think because he was late, he should stay another half hour.
Yeah, you really should. But he's got the baby.
What is the? Yeah, I do. I have all the excuses. What is Fort talking about with the Elio getting further on? Have you guys talked about Have you guys talked about the Elio car?
You want to stick with
it? Was at CES? I was in one at CES. Well, I tried to get in one. I'm kind of a big dude.
You want to stick with this a little longer, Mike?
Yeah, I'll stick around a little longer. You talk me into it.
Good man. Okay, well, I wanted to stop the hour break, and this is a first. Mike Cermak's going to stay with us for a little longer. 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. This is the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. We're going to be right back in a few moments. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Computer America.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host,
the great and powerful Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, specifically here to knock Craig off of that pedestal as often as I can, certified ethical hacker Charles Tendell.
You need to get a light behind your computer so we can see your face.
There's no light.
You don't have a lamp or something?
There's no light here, Craig. You get to choose between me being on the show, not being on the show, being on the show and being pixelated and not communicating, or being on the show and being the Darth Vader looking anonymous guy here. If you continue to complain, I'm going to fire up my auto tuner and it's going to be like auto tune.
It's not a
rest of the show.
It's a suggestion. I want you
Just
to work
saying.
as best as you possibly can. You know, by the way, the Linux computer you're using, it's really working extremely well.
Yeah, I want you to say that one more time.
The Linux computer you're using is working extremely well. Okay.
Yeah.
How come you haven't used it before?
This is my original machine. This is the machine that I have been using for the last 2 years.
Well, you should continue to use it.
I got the MacBook Pro, and this one was like pseudo retired, and apparently it only took a week for me to be like, F this.
Yeah.
You know?
You should continue to use it, but maybe during the day or something, find a little lamp and put it so we can see your face. That's all. Right now, you look totally anonymous. Anyway, we are with Mike Cermak is continuing to be with us, which is a first here on the show.
Hey, wait, Craig.
Yes.
Craig, there's a problem with your camera too. You look kind of yellow.
And Mike is continuing with us from TechGuy.org, and I know you were intrigued about this Elio comment that Fort made in the chat room. This was but you're saying that Elio will never happen, right? Is it Elio or Elio?
I don't know.
Okay.
Elio. I
think it's Elio.
The owner of the company himself pronounced it Elio.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's never going to happen. Just like fuel cells are never going to happen.
But
Why do you think this?
Now, I love electric vehicles, and as you know, I'm planning to get a Tesla here next year. I'm a big supporter of Tesla. Yes, the Gullwing, because I plan to have it fly away. But no, the problem with Elio is that I think that there's no business sense in it. I think it's a great idea. I think something like that will exist, perhaps even under that name if someone licenses it or something. But have you guys looked at the financial sheets that they had posted? Let me see if I can find that again here.
Well, I know they were trying to do something where they were like, it's like $6,800 for one, or something like that.
Yes, well, and that's yes, exactly. And so they have their here's a link from last year on one of them. I just put into the chat room for those who are in it. But for example, they were planning here. They're planning on being able to do that price because they're planning on making so many units. So they had planned in a year to sell 68,000 units, which is more units than the Mini had sold, despite being around for quite a while and not being a weird three-wheeled, two-seat vehicle, actually being a real car.
Back up off the enclosed motorcycle from Demolition Man. Okay?
That is totally what it is. Well, and first, yeah, so anyhow. Now, let me just say this up front. Let me just say this about that. I think that electric vehicles are the way to go. I think that a small, compact vehicle is super efficient and will meet the needs of most people, especially for commuting just to work and back, even just a two-seater. Obviously not a family car. It's not meant to be a family car. It's meant to be the commuter that you take to work and drive home. And I think for those needs, it looks to me, I've never been in one, but it looks to me like it would fit those needs and serve it okay. But I think it's a little bit crazy with the three wheels. I'm sure it's super efficient, and I'm sure it's wonderful, but I think that'll turn a lot of people off, even if it ever does come to market, which it won't.
Wow.
Tell us how you really feel. Yeah. I mean, I've never heard anybody in the same sentence be like, nope, not going to happen. But we're going to continue talking, not going to happen. Wow.
So anyhow, yeah. So that's so tell me how you feel, Charles. I
was actually in Elio, and it had this kind of like Ford Mustang that we cut in half thing going on, and I think for the you and I are probably on the same page of we're both doubting the validity of this one, that it's going to make it, but did you doubt that the smart car was going to make it?
I wasn't involved in that enough to have an opinion on it. Well,
yeah, when I first heard about the smart, I did the same thing. I was like, yeah, not happening. Like no one's going to be caught dead in that thing. Like it's a go-kart. It's a street legal go-kart. A golf cart is what it is. And I've seen them all over the place. And it takes a special kind of person to want these kind of cars. And I think those kinds of people still exist. I think the same special kind of people that want Teslas or there's going to be a special kind of person that's going to want the Elio. If they can pull it off at $6,800, and it literally, if you've ever been in one, I mean, I was in one at CES. It is truly a no-frills ride. Like, you are basically on a motorcycle with a shell. You get nothing. You lose, sir.
Yeah, okay. Great. And there are people who would love that, and they have avid supporters, and I think it's excellent in terms of reducing carbon footprint, which I think is important. It's small and efficient and electric, and I love all of that. The problem I have with it is not that. It's just that the expectation, the business sense they have of it, their business plan, they had planned to start out at 68,000 units a year and then ramp up to 250,000 units a year. I said 250,000 units a year, which I will point out per this article is more than Volvo sold last year of real cars.
Of real cars.
and it's just and so they're planning this, and they're saying they're going to do this having 120 dealers, and that each dealership will sell 2,000 units a year. So that's 174 units a month, and each one is going to have 5 employees.
What?
Yeah. So each of the 120 dealers again will sell over almost 2,100 units per year. So that's 174 units per month, having 5 employees at each location.
They want to sell 2,100.
So which means that each employee would have to sell 35 units a month.
Yeah, they are a little overambitious there.
I'm just saying, and overambitious is okay. I don't mind being ambitious, but their numbers are just are laughable. I mean, it's unrealistic. There's no way it's going to be able to happen the way they're planning on doing it. Now,
because you're going to buy 2 tires and get the third one free.
Well, the way if someone were to take this exact same product, I don't have a problem with the product. If someone were to take the exact same product and plan it, do a business plan on it, where it's going to have to be really expensive up front, because honestly, it's going to be low volume up front. And that's the way we were talking about Tesla in the chat room as well. That's the way Tesla grew, and that's how they're continuing to grow, and how they're eventually going to do a mass market car that anyone would be able to afford. Not anyone, most people would be able to afford, is that they started very low volume with the Roadster, which was stupid expensive, and then they have the Model S, which is still very expensive even if you consider the fuel's free, and now the Model X, which is really in the same line. But their 3rd generation vehicle, the Model E, some people were calling it, but it won't be called that. It's going to be the one that's going to be around $35,000, which is much more reasonable for a brand new car that you don't have to pay for fuel.
That's
I actually when I walked into a Tesla store, and I sat I'm standing there, and I was probably 60 pounds lighter than I am now or so, and I got into the coupe
the Roadster
thing, and it was like, this is the most unpractical shit. I can't say that.
And the Roadster, the body wasn't developed by Tesla. The Tesla just put the battery packs in them. That's actually someone in the chat room would know. Lotus Elise is actually what the body of the vehicle is.
It was fugly and completely inefficient.
And I'm not a sports car guy, so I would never get that kind of vehicle anyway. But there are people who love them and still love them. But it's just like the Elio is fugly, and no one, but some people really love that, and it's just, it's a 2-seater.
What is the one, Mike, you're going to be getting now? It's the
Model X. So the Model S is the one that's very popular right now. It got the top ranks for Consumer Reports and the best safety rating that's ever been achieved and all of that. And the S is sedan, Model S, and that's where they get the S from it. Then one that comes out at the beginning of next year is the Model X, which is the crossover, with like a small SUV, and that's what I'm getting.
That's the one with the gull wing doors.
Right.
All I can say is like when I first saw the Roadster, I was like, you're nuts, and it was like $60,000. I was like, you go jump off a bridge. If you can give me a 4-door sedan with a ridiculous cargo room, that's literally a grocery getter for somewhere in the $50,000 to $60,000 range that comes fully decked out, then we'll be okay. And then they came out with the Model S, and I was like, well, you did it. Now it's affordable. Someone will go and they'll buy a full-size Toyota for for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 depending on their option package, or buy the car that you just spent $20,000 on a battery pack, extra dollars on a battery pack on, that you're going to save $20,000 in gas in. It's really the S, every time I see one, it's a gorgeous car. It really is.
It really is. And that's the nice thing they've done, is that it's a real car for real people. You could actually, and I intend to, replace your real car with it. In the past, electric vehicles, including the Elio, have mostly been vehicles that you'd have to have in addition to a real car.
Well, the Elio isn't an electric vehicle.
Wait a minute.
No, it isn't. I stand corrected. You're right.
The Elio
it's
is
just super. It practically is, because it's like 80 miles to the gallon or something dumb like that.
Well, yeah, it's like a 3-cylinder 1-liter engine.
Yeah, but
You're right.
listen, Ford says his nearest supercharger station is 30 miles away. So at a 280-mile range, he said you have to use half of that just to charge it. Of course, you don't have to go to a supercharger station for it, right? You can just go to a, you can charge this at your home, right?
That's right. Yeah, you just plug it in home. It costs you $4 to fill it up, assuming it's actually empty.
Yeah.
Oh, did we lose Charles again?
Who's Charles?
No, Charles is taking a message to his wife.
Oh, no worries. He says he'll be right back. So you wouldn't have to use the superchargers. I don't intend to use the superchargers, but I have solar panels on my house, so I'm gonna be getting the electric from there. But even if you don't, it's so cheap to just fill it up with that. Even if the vehicle is completely empty, it's only gonna be $4 to fill it up. And how often is it really gonna be fully empty?
You have solar panels in your house. Are you off the grid, or?
I'm not off the grid. I haven't got enough roof space to be completely off the grid with 2 air conditioners and a pool heater and a million computers. And
how is it helping? I mean, how much offset your electrical bill?
By over 50%. It certainly depends on the time of year. Right now is a nice time of year because we get nice sunny days for a long period of time, and it's not really that hot yet that we need to run the AC 24/7. So it's a great time of year that a lot of days we actually get more electricity than we use.
Now, when you put that in, was it supplemented by the state or your local area? I mean, they had all these different things where they'll give you breaks, to put it in. Or?
Yeah, not anything local, but there was a state grant and also a federal grant, and
to offset the cost.
That helped a good bit. Yeah, and to be honest with you, it wouldn't have made sense to do without that. And it's a shame that is the case, but it would not have made financial return on investment sense to do it without those.
Okay, so and how long have you had it now?
4 or 5 years, I would guess.
And so you've had it long enough to know that if it's making an impact, if you hit with that.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm sure that we've paid for it by now. I mean, it's we've had a return on it. So now all the power it's getting, is just over and above what we paid.
Now, what do you have to have you have batteries somewhere in your home to store?
We don't have batteries. To go off the grid, you would have to have batteries. The way it works for this is that you could have batteries, and then on the rare day, well, not rare, but in this time of year where we actually would generate more electricity than we use, you could charge the batteries and then at night run off of that. But it doesn't happen enough here, and we're not trying to go off the grid. So what happens is that those days when we're making too much electricity, we just send it out to the grid, and they remove that off of the bill.
So in other words, you can sell the electricity back to the electric company. That's the other.
That's right.
So you find yourself doing that then.
Yep, that's right.
It offsets the charges, lowers your bill. That's nice. And I want to get that done on my home, and I do have the roof surface area to put in, a great deal of solar. Of course, now they have even newer technology. 5 years ago, the solar panels have certainly improved. Have you thought about updating your solar panels?
No, the upfront cost is just way too much. That there's not any easy way to upgrade it. So no. But the nice thing with solar panels is you put them up there, and they run for a very long time. Some of the solar panels made 15, 20 years ago are still generating electricity, not as much as mine are, which are not making as much as what yours would. But they, it's not the sort of thing that there's no moving parts. There are things that go bad. Sometimes inverters go bad and that sort of thing. It's not perfect, but there's not a heck of a lot of maintenance to them. It's not like an air conditioner.
Yeah, and I do have the roof area, so I could put a whole mess of them up there, and we're always we're in a situation where there's always sunlight one way or the other, so it would be extremely efficient for us to do it. So that's one of the things that we plan to do. We just haven't done it yet. So
yeah, definitely worth looking into.
And a solar panel equipped weather balloon. That's what I want. just float a whole solar panel farm, up above the clouds, and I constantly got light at that point.
Now we're seeing the blue screen of death again.
He's very funny, that Charles there, I tell you. I'm surprised it's just not an Apple frowny face.
Actually, if I could find that one, hold on.
Well, and Jack points out in the chat room that not buying the batteries makes it cost much less as well, as far as the solar goes. If you want to go off the grid, then you would have to have batteries. But for the average person just looking to reduce your bills, you don't really need that.
Yeah.
Well, don't the batteries also work as a UPS kind of a setup? So if the power goes out, you don't lose power?
Absolutely right. And if you lived in an area where that's an issue, like hurricanes or whatever, then that might be an advantage as well, versus having like a big diesel generator or something.
Yeah. Okay. So now the thing is, though, if you're doing that, does it switch over fast enough? I mean, they have it set up so you're always running off the batteries. So if the power failure happens, is that, in other words, you don't want them cutting in. You want it. What is it? Inline. You want it to have it Yeah,
you can actually have them set up in a number of different ways. A popular way for, if you were doing off-grid, then of course it wouldn't be an issue. You would be feeding to the batteries would be feeding to the transformer that would be feeding to the rest of your house. And so that's not so much of a problem. The inverter, that's what I was looking for. That would feed to the rest of your house. So as much battery capacity you have is how long you can run, and if you're off the grid, then you have that pretty well calculated. And if you get a lot of really crappy, cloudy days, and you either have to have a lot of batteries to make up for that, or still have a grid connection that you can turn on or have it turn on periodically as a backup. What some people do, which is what you might be interested in, Craig, is you can have the solar panels charge the batteries, and then have your critical circuits connected to that inverter. So things like your refrigerator and your lights and whatever can be connected to that circuit. So if you lose grid power, then those things still have power, but your air conditioner that uses a heck of a lot of power, and TV and things like that perhaps wouldn't still have power. So you could do things like that.
My laser printer.
Yeah, your laser printer. Right, that would be a good one.
That's how you just go off the grid.
There's your frowny face. That's excellent.
I'm gonna deck this one out with my lower third and the OWC logo up there, and we'll see how that works out.
Now, how is it? My face is smiling, and that one is frowning.
Well, your face is your face is still kind of yellow.
No, I mean the Mac face is when I have smiles and someone made it so it's unhappy.
Yeah, well, I'm currently restoring my MacBook Pro right now. Like I was like F it and just went ahead and started the restore process right now. And because it just started acting funny in ways that now it's funny because it reminds me of why I switched off Mac in the first place. I paid a premium for this machine and the software that's on it, right? For it to begin to behave like I bought a Windows machine, I didn't pay for that. Okay, my Linux machine has been a workhorse power machine that has never failed me, except for the fact that it's like the USB 3 ports on one side have just recently collapsed, and it's got this weird CD drive. That's what I should have bought. I should have bought a freaking another 17-inch monster one of these things. Yeah, that's what I should have bought. But I bought a Mac instead. Silly.
Well, and in the defense of the Mac is all computers have weird things periodically. Even my beautiful Windows Vista computer here, I hate to admit, every once in a while does something funny. But
Vista doing things funny.
I will defend Vista till the end.
Actually, there's something that I have to admit with a friend of mine had a Vista computer. And I actually liked it when it first came out. It needed some tweaking, aside from the fact that it was a resource hog. But Vista was an interesting flavor. It was an interesting look, and they had the original iteration of the Aero desktop.
Right.
Do a bunch of cool stuff, like you could shake to minimize and do all this other weird stuff with it, and it was cool.
I still have Vista running on our kitchen computer because it's a HP TouchSmart, and it's and the version Windows 7 that came out didn't support it at the time, and so I just basically left it there. So right now I'm actually running Vista on our TouchSmart HP computer.
Now let me ask you this, Charles. This is going to be a question to see whether or not you get to remain as co-host. You might not have realized. You might not have realized I have that power. Craig probably didn't either. But
you got to remember this. You got to remember this. He who removes the sword from the stone inherits the job.
So a previous co-host here used to tell me how wonderful Windows ME was. Now, Charles, tell me your feel. Do you remember Windows ME back in the day?
I remember ME.
Millennium Edition. That's correct.
Millennium Edition. Okay, let's put this into perspective. 98 was the apex of the stable Windows operating system.
Okay. At the time.
Yeah. ME was the transition between 98 and 2000/NT. They were trying to bring that new technology field in there, so they bastardized both, but they didn't do what they've done with everything else. They didn't abandon the core, which was 98, to develop ME. They took that core and added features to it. They just sprinkled stuff on top. So they were like, well, let's try these features. They didn't screw it up, and ME was relatively stable unless you plugged in a printer.
As long as you didn't use any hardware, it was
cool. No other peripherals whatsoever out of the box. You didn't try and install anything else. you were good to go. You know, so I would give ME on the scale of things. You know, it was the last time, it was the last iteration of Windows where they realized we've got a stable core. You know, 3.0, 3.1, you know, 3.2, Windows. What was the next one? After 95. You know, there was something in between there that was like a Windows stupid edition that they were just trying something different. They had been building on the same base from 3.0 to ME, and it was DOS 6.2 by then, and it was stable and it was functional as long as you didn't plug anything else into it. Okay, I have to strongly caveat that you plugged anything else into it because I think it was the advent of what they called plug and play.
Right, plug and pray.
Plug and pray. You know, because it was like you'd plug it in, and almost every single time you'd get this. Every single time. We're like, oh, really?
You know, it's funny. You know, all computers screw up, and I was just reading recently the instructions on rebooting the computers in the Tesla for whenever they freeze. And I was like, boy, yeah. There's directions on. There's like a, you know, instead of a Control-Alt-Delete, there's 2 buttons on the steering wheel you hold down for about 5 or 10 seconds, and that reboots one of the consoles. And then you hit the other side of those buttons for 5 or 10 seconds. That reboots your other display. There's 2 main displays inside
Mike,
the Tesla.
you know what has to happen, right?
And you can reboot those while you're driving, by the way.
That's weird.
But you don't know how fast you're going.
That's true. You don't. If the display with your speedometer, and that is a display, if that display freezes, and it has happened to some people, then you don't know how fast you're going until you hold down these 2 buttons to reboot it.
You know, the fact that they have to put that mechanism in there.
It is a computer. You know.
No. I'm gonna buy the red Tesla. And then I'm gonna get in there.
Red is the right answer, by the way.
Yep. Well, their red isn't really a red. It's really this cherry. Like
it's magic.
Yeah, it is a beautiful red. But I'm going to get it, and I'm going to hack the Tesla OS, right?
Yep.
And from now on, when my Tesla...
Are you going to put a virus on my Tesla?
No. I'm gonna do this to your Tesla as well. I'm gonna do it remotely. Okay.
Okay,
every time it boots up, it's gonna go, "Good morning, Mike."
I like that.
Yep, Mike.
There was actually.
Then you're gonna be driving, and you're gonna go to the reset, and it's gonna go, "I'm sorry, Mike. I'm afraid that." And then it's gonna lock the doors. You know, like, open the pod bay, open the gull wing doors. Hal.
There was, and I will find it, and I'll post it in here so you can watch it during the break. But there's a guy who made a YouTube video very much like that, and had a tail instead of Sal. It was called Sal instead of what is it called in
Hal.
Hal. Instead of Hal, it's called Sal. And I'll find it here. It's very funny, but it's exactly that. They have the little symbol on there, and he's talking to him in the voice and all that. And the daughter's in the back seat, and the computer's talking to the daughter in the HAL 2001 voice and says, what would you like to listen to, Amory? And she says, I want to listen to Frozen. And the dad's like, no, let me out. Anyone who has a kid right now knows that every kid is singing Frozen right now.
No.
No. It's pretty funny, but it goes exactly here. Here's the link. I just found it. It's exactly what you described. It's funny. With the doors automatically locking, by the artificial intelligent computer. Yeah.
That's the only downside. The further we get to technologically connected cars, people like me are going to go out there and be like, there's got to be a way I can hack this thing.
Yeah. Well, and with the Tesla, and I'm sure other vehicles forthcoming, has a wireless connection to the internet. A cellular connection to the internet. It's always connected. And most people listen to the radio through Slacker and things like that on the Tesla rather than using XM or FM or something. So, I mean, there's certainly an opportunity there. I mean, you have to worry about security when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, it's
actually, you know what? We're gonna add Craig to the Tesla family. You know what we're gonna do?
What?
We're gonna get all the Tesla goodies, but we're gonna put it in the DeLorean.
We'll just tell him it's a Model X. He won't know the difference.
Model X, yep.
OS X, yeah, exactly.
Hey, he said it. Look at that.
Yosemite.
Yosemite,
exactly. When I first saw it on the one, it said, in the Apple presentation, at first I thought Yosemite when I saw that. I went, no, it's Yosemite. Anyway, we are talking to Mike Cermak, owner-operator of TechGuide.org, and we're just kind of all over the road here and having a lot of fun.
All over the road. I like that. I get it.
Like, we have that visual tie-in to everything, and we're talking about electric cars and solar cells and net neutrality and you're big in I can't remember, Mike. Are you big into movies or not?
No, I'm not. See, the problem is I have a 3-year-old, so if you ask me anything about Frozen, I'll be able to tell you about that. If there's any like adult movies that have been made in the last 3 years, I'm not really aware of them.
Wait, what are these things called, adult movies?
No, I didn't mean. I am aware of the. I mean.
Wait, what? Go to commercial.
So speaking of the Elio previously, though, and then we'll let you talk about movies. I was just doing research on it, and it looks like there was an article from today from the Associated Press saying that they've been pushed back. Production had been slated for March 2015. Now production is slated to begin September 2015. Paul Elio says the reason is a funding delay last year.
Well, I mean, somebody probably looked at his extremely ambitious goals and was like, seriously, dude? Let's fix this.
You think that happened?
Elio said that he's raised $55 million in private funding to date, but needs roughly $200 million to get his operation started.
Wow.
And I would say the $200 million is still very, very optimistic.
Did he use Kickstarter?
Paul, get your butt on Kickstarter, man.
He used Kickstarter, exactly. That's what I want to know. Indiegogo, he could go there too. You can do them all. Indiegogo, Kickstarter, all of them, and see if you can raise them.
Speaking of other dumb ideas on those types of sites, have you guys seen and talked about the Solar Road?
Oh, the solar-powered road.
Yes.
I think it's highly well. They basically put these Gorilla Glass covered solar panels into all major highways, and it powers infrastructure, lights along it, so on and so forth. And all I'm thinking is the first car accident that cracks one of these things.
Yeah, he's got it. That's exactly right. I'm finding the link right now and just found it and threw it into the chat room.
But I'm okay with the ones where the solar panels are like in the shoulder.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think that
I am not as concerned. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what it is. Exactly as Charles said. You have a solar panel, and also in the solar panel there's LEDs, which is kind of a cool feature. I like that. I'll talk about that. And then on top of that is this glass that, so first of all, you're thinking driving on glass, maybe not a great idea, especially in rain. I'm no expert in how roads are built. I'll tell you that up front, but glass doesn't seem like the appropriate surface.
You're gonna have every road sign, the ones that used to be the mile markers, they're gonna say slippery when wet.
Well, so in their defense, I think that it probably could be done with a glass or a glass-like material. If you had the grooving right, so the water would run off of it, and if you had something to create some traction there, and the ones that the models, the prototypes they have some of that. So I think that's not as dumb as it sounds.
I'll tell you that. We're at the bottom of the hour break. It will continue on. This is the Computer America Show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Mike Cermak continues on with us. We'll be right back with a new News Tips Bulletin. Stay with us.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, your free professional installation, and the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Hello, this is Marty Winston for Computer America with a News Tips Bulletin review of Seagate Backup Plus. Backup Plus might just be yet another hard drive, but for the Seagate Dashboard desktop app and the Seagate Mobile Backup app on smartphones. We'll ignore that the desktop dashboard app wants to back up your computer and social media. We'll focus on the handset, and we will note that when you're away from your base Wi-Fi, the mobile app also lets you back up to a cloud drive until you can get back. An email address and password in both the desktop and mobile apps is how access control and restores get governed. Bottom line, we like the idea of being able to back up all of our Android devices to one small Seagate drive, and Backup Plus lets us do that. This is Marty Winston at the News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Yes, this is Trini. I need to get a pilot program for a UH-1 Iroquois. No, hello, operator? Anyone? No. Well, I guess that's not the Matrix dialing up sound from Marty there, but, welcome back to Computer America Show. Craig and I are talking to, Mike and I are talking to Craig Crossman of the Computer America Show. And we're kind of having a good time. We're talking about.
I'm jazzed that Mike's for the first time that's in the history that's ever known. He's staying here for both hours.
You got me fired up on some of these transportation technologies.
That's right. Mike's got a lot to say.
He let me talk about Teslas, so now all of a sudden, yeah, sure, I'll stay.
Oh, sure.
So when are you getting it, by the way? When does it come out?
I'm reservation number 114 for the Model X production, and
actually have a number. Okay.
Oh yes. You have to put $5,000 down for a reservation, and they've sold that I haven't seen yet. Or
is that non-refundable?
No, it is refundable.
Did you get to pick the color?
No, not yet. No, they haven't released what the colors will be yet. But I have spent some nights laying in bed thinking about which color I will pick.
What you're telling me is they could come out and pull a Microsoft or an Apple on you and be like, no, we've chosen the color for you.
They didn't do that with the Model S, so I don't expect that they will.
But you skipped over the Model S and you're getting the X.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. I had a reservation for the S, but just before my reservation came out, they announced the Model X, and the Model X I'm much more excited about because of the kid and the car seat and having more room to be able to drag other people with me and more cargo room and four-wheel drive, and I like having an SUV, really, a crossover.
Yeah. And so did they just transfer your deposit for the S over to the X? Is that what they did?
No, I actually got a refund from my Model S reservation, which answers the other question. Yes, you can get a refund until they start actually building your car. Once you choose your colors and they start production, then you can't get a refund.
So how much was the original deposit?
$5,000 for the other one, but they couldn't do a transfer, so they refunded that, and I had to make another one. I don't know why that is, but
well, it's the same $5,000.
It really was, yeah.
Yeah, but
so you didn't have to have that conversation twice, honey.
Oh, wait. So I have to have a conversation.
But did you lose your place? I mean, did you slide down like about 50 positions?
No, actually, I increased my place because my reservation for the Model S I got in much later, so I had a much higher number, like 5,000 and some for the Model S. And then, but I was early. I was in it for the Model X. I was there early.
All right. So you're way up there then.
Yeah, I'm excited. So early next year was the answer to the original question, is when I expect to have it. I'm hopeful. They're saying mass production is supposed to be second quarter next year. So
now, see, it's hilarious. You're like putting money into this energy efficient electric car, and I just bought a '66 Lincoln Continental that has become like my my every other day driver, and it's got like a 462 mil and like a 4-barrel carburetor, and I get feet per gallon.
Feet per gallon. I see. So right before the break, I want to talk about Tesla as much as we can, but I did want to talk about how dumb the solar roadways are, because we kind of built that up a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm being very blunt today, aren't I? So solar roadways, as we described, sounds really great, but there's many problems with it, not the least of which is the glass. I think that the traction on the glass isn't as bad as what people will think, but I'm concerned about the long-term durability of it, because glass is not really that terribly strong of a substance. I mean, you can take rocks and rub it against even hard glass, and over time you can scrape it away. Mm-hmm. and that's what will happen every day on roads, by the way, is dirt and rocks and rubber and oil and everything else will get onto these things, and then the glass really won't be so clear anymore either, by the way, to let light go into the solar panels that are below it. Solar panels. So that's not such a great idea. One thing that I think was kind of clever that also wouldn't work is the LEDs they have.
It's clever, but it isn't going to work.
So if you watch the video on this, if you took the time over the break, is they have these LEDs that they want to embed into these, and the idea being that they can then put messages on the road or change traffic patterns as necessary, or in parking lots. One of the examples they gave is of handicap stalls. They have a parking lot that has 2 handicap spots in it, and then regular parking spots, and then 2 vehicles come in and park in those 2 handicap spots, and then magically, because it's not painted, it's just LEDs, there's a 3rd handicap spot that just pops up. All of a sudden, the next spot is, which is brilliant. Cool. And the idea they have, they say there's weight sensors. They can have weight sensors in them. So if kids walk out onto the crosswalk, or if a moose walks onto the road, you can have the warnings light up on the road for oncoming traffic to let them know. Or if there's an accident, you can close a lane, digitally on the. It's a great idea. But have you ever looked at an LED in the sunlight?
No, yeah, that's
the correct answer is yes, you have. You just didn't realize it.
It's unless they're very well shaded, as in the case of traffic lights. A lot of those are LED now, but they have those giant covers on them to shade them. And the other problem is that you're going to be looking at them off axis, because they're going to be embedded in the road. You're going to be looking at them from a long distance away at a very shallow angle, and in the broad daylight. Yeah, I think it'll work great at night, but it just doesn't make any sense for daylight.
I'm very disoriented because the mic now is here for both hours, and I'm looking at Charles, and he's now at another angle. It looks like he
has a light on. He's not a scary shadow of a hacker.
It's a different computer. You've changed computers again on us, haven't you?
It's not a different computer. It's the same computer. I'm just kicked back in my chair with my camera turned.
Okay, okay.
I see him sitting back there. He has that sly smile on. He's thinking, man, this Mike is just thinking every idea is a terrible idea.
I agree. Actually, what I'm thinking about with these is, the hacker in me is like, God, it would be so awesome. It would be so awesome just to get control of the road and be like, hey, look over here.
I'm sure you have, Charles, seen the cases of people. I'm going to use hacking, but that's probably not the proper term. But of breaking into or the overhead signs and the warning signs, the LED. Oh, yeah. So Craig, when you're driving down the highway and they have the big sign there, construction zone 10 miles ahead, slow down, and the flashing LED type signs that they put out there, whether they're portable or the big ones around metropolitan areas, you can break into those. And it happened a couple years ago that some people, like Charles probably, discovered that the password on many of these signs were all still set to the factory default. Yeah. And so you could pull up to one of them and plug in and pretty easily have it say whatever you want. And I know some people had some very funny ones. There were some that said, danger, Walking Dead ahead.
There was the one where it was the guy who he didn't really hack it. It was his last day, and he was like, "It's my last day. F it," and he like messed with the sign and everything else, and nobody noticed it because it was like rush hour traffic, and the guys couldn't get back to fix the sign. Oh, it was like, wow,
Zombies ahead.
It's like, what are they gonna do? Fire me?
That's kind of like a senior prank, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, we're gonna do it.
What is about they have the traffic controls like in Los Angeles, which control the traffic lights, and we see many movies where the guy hacks in, and so the guy's making a bank break, and he makes them all the lights green, and I mean, is that all possible, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Critical
Probably to
infrastructure
some extent,
systems.
yeah.
Yeah,
If you're in an area that has that kind of smart traffic signals.
Well, they're all yeah. You've got to be in a major metropolitan area that has the smart signals. All of them have the little boxes that sit next to them, like on the ground. There are various different sizes, but some of them are radio controlled, and some of them have a call home feature, and that call home feature reports errors and things of that nature, and you can ignore it and you can configure it, right? And some of them have timers in them and all those other things. So in theory, it is 100% possible to be like, look, I want them all green, or I want them all red, or I want them all off. So
An easier
making them all green. You could really cause some damage,
An easier way to hack it would be, I actually heard of someone who would sell the remotes in some, it depends on the municipality and geographically where you are, but the traffic signals in some areas are also controlled by ambulances and fire trucks. They have a little remote, looks almost like a garage door opener, and as they approach an intersection, they can hit a button and it'll turn the traffic light green, for them in that direction, so they can keep going. And in some areas that's actually automated now, but back in these days they had a button they had to push, looked like a garage door opener, and I knew a guy who would sell you one of those. So that as you drove up,
green light button.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not legal. So that would be one easier way to hack it, but I don't know that that's still the way they run.
Actually, even still, the easier one where you don't need the garage door opener button. Some of them still have the light sensors. And it's angled and it's set up to receive the blinking.
Yes,
the rapid blink
of a strobe light.
Yeah. So what? Well, someone that I once knew kind of maybe.
Yeah, sure, right.
Yeah, used to carry a mag light in the car, and as you drove up to a light late at night and you wanted to turn, you just be like, blink, blink. You'd piss off the person in the other lane who was like, "Oh, look, it's turning yellow. It's turning."
And then the guy in the other lane turns around and turns on his red and blues.
Yeah.
And says, "Hey, what was that all about?"
Nothing. My car reflected the light off the thing. You can prove nothing, copper.
Is that what you tell him? I don't think that would be the best thing to say.
Well, actually, I know that trick specifically works because at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, they had all of the reflective ones, the ones where you could blink it. But late at night, they would switch them to sensors, the magnetic sensors on the ground.
Right.
And my motorcycle didn't have enough metal in it to trip that sensor.
Yeah, they're called loops, and actually you can buy like metal plate for your bike. I've seen it.
Right.
Yeah,
metal plate for bike, $40.
Yeah.
$40 to $100. Mini Maglite flashlight from the gas station, $10.
And you have to rank fun too.
Yeah, fun level.
And the mag plate would just add more weight to your bike, so you burn more gas.
Exactly. So I just pull up the lights and I'd be like, flash, flash, and I'd get by. I did get stopped once by a police officer who was like,
really?
Yeah, he was like, you can't do that, and I'm like, actually, officer, according to the regulation, on a motorcycle, it is assumed if the sensor doesn't trip on my motorcycle, I actually get 3 cycles of it before I can actually run the red light legally.
That's true.
This protects me. And he was like, really, what regulation is that? And I couldn't remember the regulation number. he was like, da 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 da, and we went back and forth for a second. He was ready to give me a ticket, and then he was like, you know what? If you're right, then I won't give you a ticket. And he got on the radio. And he called the lady at the dispatch, and she was like, wait. Came back and was like, yep, it is actually written that way. It is acceptable for a motorcycle to run a red light if it goes through 3 cycles.
Yep.
So I was basically protecting myself by forcing the green light change. So
I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that though, because you were not waiting your 3 signals. But
I wasn't. But
I have a similar story though. I have a friend of mine. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. I have a friend of mine who's a police officer here, not far from here, who will remain nameless. And he, in Pennsylvania, it was, and I don't know where you were, but you were required to wear a helmet on a motorcycle for a long, long time. And then this guy who's a police officer did a tour of duty overseas in Afghanistan and came back and resumed being a police officer. And since then, while he was gone, the law had changed. And in Pennsylvania, you no longer were required to wear a helmet. And he didn't know that, and pulled over a motorcycle, and walked up to him and said, "Yeah, I noticed you weren't wearing a helmet." And the rider said, "Yeah, it's nice that we have that option now, isn't it?" And the police officer's
what?
The officer's like, yes, and he walked back to his car and radioed in and said, hey.
Did I miss something?
Like, yeah, you did.
I'm like, oh, thank you for the refresher course.
So you just let him go, or since
yeah, of course you just let him go.
He doesn't have a choice at that point.
Not really, no.
I'm gonna give you a ticket for
you were speeding. Well, he's got
your tail light is out, or something.
Yeah, look at that, crack.
I'm gonna give you this here ticket for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, the judge is gonna be like, and you did this because of what, officer?
Yeah. So I don't. So I think the solar roadways, as I think Charles was starting to say, could make sense on sidewalks and perhaps some other areas, but I don't know. I just don't see it making financial sense.
But could you imagine a solar sidewalk during like torrential rain? It's like a huge slip and slide.
I'm not so worried about the friction part of it. I think they could solve that, but it's just I don't think it makes economical sense. I think it would be cheaper and more efficient just to build a covering above the sidewalk and put actual big solar panels on it that are already mass produced and more efficient and people aren't walking on. And they gave the example of parking lots, and but in their example, there were, those 3 cars in the parking lot. It's like most parking lots have a lot of cars parked on them during the day when there is sun. and there's not so much sun going through the cars into the road.
Yeah, I was like, how productive is that gonna be? But I am one of those people, like the evil little guy, the evil little demon is jumping up and down, praying, and I'm telling you, the first thing I would do if someone was like, we have a glass top parking lot, I'm gonna go get one of those big 5-gallon drums of lube, and I'm gonna pour it on there. Don't even ask me how I know that these 5-gallon drums actually exist.
Okay. I have no doubt.
But you just pouring it on there and just letting it sit, like no one's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know what's going on until they back their car out, go to brake, and just slide right into everybody else, and it's gonna suddenly
packing
be
a
like,
glass parking lot.
See, it's suddenly going to be cars on ice.
Did you see the road sign that Jonathan, the last one? Look at the last road sign that he just posted in the chat room.
What the heck is that?
What does it say? Jonathan, post it in your Google Hangout.
Yeah, no, just posted in the. Oh, you're not in the chat room. Oh,
Come on, Charles.
He's in the chat
room.
I tell you what, he's got no lights. He's got terrible audio. He's not in the chat room. Yeah. What kind of co-host is this? He likes Windows ME. I don't know.
I'm censored. That's what I am now.
Censored.
And now it's strobing, Charles.
If you strobe it at the right speed, the light will turn green.
Yeah, or you can have an attack. It's the wrong pattern. Yeah. By the way, speaking of LED flashlights, I got one just a couple of days ago. Did I tell you about that, Charles?
You did not. Did you get it from what's the guy's name?
Extreme.
What is that? Mosquitoes carrying off babies? What is that?
Yeah, you want to watch out for that.
It's gone really wrong. That's where they have those in like Florida, where you are, right, Craig?
Yeah, big mosquitoes.
The mosquitoes that carry you away, like yo.
You gotta watch
the go bag.
Yeah, exactly. You can see all this fun stuff, by the way, if you go into our live video streaming page, at ComputerAmerica.com, brought to you by Otherworld Computing, and enjoy some of the fun and frivolity that we do in there. And we stay, like a few minutes after the show, just like a little after show, just to you can kind of see what goes on behind the scenes. Yeah.
It's the after party.
The after party, yes, we do that. Yeah.
Are there drinks?
Sometimes.
No,
Charles actually attends the whole show with a drink.
I just posted it on in there. You can see what it looks like.
Yep.
That's a big mosquito. Is that actually somewhere on the road? Somebody just put that up.
No, someone made that up.
Yeah, it's a Photoshop, I guarantee it.
Yeah, exactly.
I just got a cool LED flashlight as a gift. By the way, I haven't received your birthday gifts yet.
No.
I'm sure they're on the way. But
it's your birthday.
Actually, wait, Mike, you should probably think of this one. So I got a hat from Craig.
Uh-huh.
It was supposed to be for Halloween. Yeah. One year. I got it. What? February the following year?
Well, maybe it was just early for the next Halloween.
Wait a minute,
That's what he said.
I think that's the flashlight that I got, Mike. Hold it up. Let me see it again.
This is, I don't know who this is. I don't know who it is. It's got some kind of logo on it, but...
Did you jack Darth Vader's lightsaber? What is that?
It's got this. My one has the same front, but it's not as big as that one.
Size matters, Craig. But what's interesting about this one is, if for those who are watching the video, is it has a USB port on it. So it's rechargeable via USB, but also you push this button on here, and you can actually charge USB devices off of it. So I've had my phone plugged into this throughout the broadcast today, so that I can actually charge it off of a. Yeah, someone gave me this as a gift, isn't that? So you can actually just plug a USB, straight into it there, and be able to charge off of it or charge to it.
Is it your birthday today or yesterday? When was
No, it was my birthday in March.
Oh, okay.
See, he's behind.
So this was from someone like Craig, who's just a little bit behind on.
Well, we can play Happy Birthday for you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Mike.
Happy birthday to you.
There you go. Belated, but better late than never, I guess.
Hey,
we
thank
should
you
make
very
Craig
much. That
sing.
meant a lot. Yeah.
Craig used to be a lounge singer. We should totally make Craig sing from now on.
That was Craig.
Oh, sounded like the Chipmunks. It explains a lot.
Okay.
What I thought was more entertaining is both if you were watching a live video stream brought to you by Otherworld Computing or the guys over at MacSales.com, Mike and I were both sitting here. We were both like bopping back and forth. We were both dancing to it. It was like, wow.
I think the one that I have that was made by the same company because it is probably the most powerful LED flashlight that I have
This
seen.
one's pretty darn bright.
And it's one LED. You see them, they have like rows, like 5 or 6 or 10 or 15 LEDs. This is one LED in the middle. Now, does yours strobe?
I don't know.
And
I don't think it does.
And it does. Mine strobes and it has
there we
2 power levels, so you can do.
You might have to push and hold it.
No, mine you don't do that. No. You just.
I have another one that's a smaller. It doesn't have the USB charge, but I have another LED flashlight where if you click it twice real fast, then it changes to a lower one. You click it twice again, then it flashes.
Yeah, I think I know the one that you have. Can you hold it up to your camera there so we can see it? One of my employees has one, and he brought it into the office and he said point blank, look, don't put it on the highest setting and look at it. It will hurt your eyes. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I've heard that about flashlights.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. But I didn't actually do it. But we went in the cave and we turned off the lights, and this thing is epic. I mean, it's only literally like probably.
Hold it up to the camera. Let me look at it.
Well, I don't have it. He has it. It's his. He carries it around. It's about the length of a Coke can, and it's only about big around as a roll of quarters.
But does it have that same front? See, look at the front. It has like a scalloped.
Yeah, it's got something kind of like that, and then the back of his also has like a not a punch tool, but like it's if you had to hit something with it or you had to break glass with it, it would be very effective at that. But it's got this soft push button. If you push it once, it comes on. You push it again, it gets brighter. You push it and hold it, it strobes. It's a pretty wicked little light. I mean, the new LED lights are pretty bad.
Mine says extreme, so I don't know if it's the same one, but it looks very similar to what he has except shorter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Size does matter.
All right, so it does, I guess.
So Jonathan in the chat room keeps wanting us to be very cautious in the things that we do here on the Computer America show. So he keeps sending us a series of these warnings, and the last warning that he sent me is something that we should all probably be leery of. Let me go ahead and get this one. Is this it? There it is.
Phosphorus?
No. There you go. just in case you have a you want to make sure that your signs those are dangerous.
Falling signs, yeah.
And actually, if you're ever in the area or you're ever in need of an effective zombie killing weapon, the poles on these aren't really that heavy and they're very top heavy, so they're great to swing.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good tip.
Yeah, and they're usually bolted into their base with like a 9/16 bolt or a Phillips head and a 9/16 bolt. So you get down there, you unscrew them, and you've got a portable zombie apocalypse killing tool. And if you want to to redirect someone or do anything like that, it could even work as shade or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Nope, I think that's good advice. The problem I have with that picture is it's so obviously photoshopped. That's like a painfully obvious Photoshop.
Well, this one's actually blown up. What about this one? Is this one Photoshop?
That looks much better.
Okay, I just checking.
Is this an eye test?
He loves
it. Could be. It could be.
He does, exactly. He likes it. So, anything else we want to talk about? We got about 3 minutes left to talk.
Actually, wait. Wait. There's something I want to talk about. And Mike, I'm not sure what side of the fence you're on with this one. So tomorrow is the I don't know if it's the 1 year anniversary or not of the Edward Snowden links.
Okay.
Yes, interesting.
And there's a movement going around the interwebs right now. It is, which I can't remember the URL. Craig, I gave it to you. Do you remember what the URL was?
Stop Edward Snowden now or something.
No. What was it?
Snapchat.
Free the net or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold on. I'll find it. I just can't remember what it was.
I can't remember it.
Internet Protest 2014. Internet Protest NSA. We'll do that one. I bet you that'll bring it up. There we go. It is resetthenet.org.
That's it. Reset the net.
Tomorrow, several websites, mine all including, and hopefully the Computer America website, various different internet providers are doing it. I'm gonna reach out to the guys over at ProXPN because they're all about privacy and making sure what you're doing is safe online and nobody else is monitoring. But a lot of us are doing, we're putting up a splash page for our website where you go to the website and it pops up a message that says, a year ago today, a year ago, Edward Snowden released all this information about the NSA, and we've been expecting the Fed to step in and start regulating this and preventing these agencies from doing it. And instead, they're not. They're actually, allowing this to continue, and they're allowing people to be monitored, and they're abusing their power as a governing body. And me, I'm of the opinion that the government gets their power from those that are governed, and we all need to make a stand about something. But it gives it a splash screen, and it gives people that visit your website the ability to download tools. The ability to download tools that will make it harder for people like the Fed to track you, to get into your information, to see what you're doing online. Things like VPNs, like ProXPN, things like using Tor, things like using secure chat methods, things like if you're a web developer, forcing SSL on your website.
Yeah.
These are all great tools, and if you're going to get into it, go to resetthenet.org, or visit the Computer America page, hopefully anytime tomorrow. And you'll see the splash screen. You'll be able to get a hold of these tools, and it'll make your life easier.
Hey, Mike, listen, thanks so much for being with us for both hours. Really was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Stay with me to the end because we'll finish up with Hangouts. Give us a minute. In the meantime, tomorrow we're going to have Trey Sensa is going to be on the show. They have basically they allow you to create games to build and distribute commercial quality mobile web games. And it's really an interesting concept, and they're going to be with us in the first hour. We're going to have the head guy with us, the CEO of the company, Trey Sensa. And then in hour 2, computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities. So that wraps it up. Have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow night. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. See ya.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, and we're out, and we still have the Google Hangouts running. So again, thanks to everybody for watching, and again, thanks, Mike, for being with us for both hours. It was quite enjoyable.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
All righty, well, listen, and take care, and we'll see you next month, same time. All right.
Yep, absolutely. I'm looking at the Elio Motors website now. I'm gonna study up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right.
Hey, you should really look on the resetthenet.org.
I did. I had that up just a moment ago. Whenever you were talking about it, I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah, you should check it out for techguy.org because I'm sure you get a lot of the questions of how do we do the privacy things. I mean, you don't have to put up the whole splash screen. You can put up just a banner, and then the banner clicking takes them to how to get the privacy packs, as they're calling it. It includes VPNs, and includes all kinds of great stuff on there that just make it easier for people to be less trackable on the internet. So
Cool.
I'm sure your users will appreciate it.
All right. So, all right. Well, say goodnight. Let me just stop the broadcast one more time. Say goodnight, Charles.
Good night, Charles.
Good night, Mike.